Everyone, welcome to the Commission on Ending Homelessness meeting for November 20th. Today we have a few items that we need you all to consider and vote on. First, we'll start off with our winter shelter updates. Just an update on the winter shelter. So the locations for the winter shelter have remained the same, all except Maple Springs. So we have St. Miss Wisely, yes. If I miss one, let me know. We have the dwelling, which is currently running. All of these locations open as of November 15th. We have the dwelling. We have St. Timothy. We do have a temporary space open at Augsburg. And then we have New Story Church. Calvary for families will open December 1st. In the meantime, we are motel vouchering families until Calvary does open. Annex 2, there was a delay with the permitting for that one. So Annex 2, which has 35 total beds, we are expecting that permit to be ready tomorrow afternoon. So that location will open possibly Monday is the date that we are looking for. It is National Homelessness Awareness Week, so there has been a lot of events going on this week. There is footsteps in front of City Hall. If you guys want to stop by, they are spray painted on the sidewalk in front of City Hall in different colors. Those footsteps are representing the 627 individuals experiencing homelessness on any given night in our community. So we do welcome for you guys to stop by and visit that site that staff put together. And then there's been different pop-ups throughout the community. Today we have at 2 p.m. a community conversation around homelessness and advocacy at City with Dwellings, 502 North Broad Street. And then tomorrow there is a luncheon that has been put on for all of the service providers from 11 to 1:30, just as a thank you for all of the work that they've done over the last year. But those are our winter shelter updates. Any questions in regards to that? Okay, so there has been a policy change request that has come in since our last meeting. It is from Aspire. Kelly Church sent over a request in regards to changing the way that our permanent supportive housing vouchers are being utilized. So currently, our permanent supportive housing vouchers are housing vouchers that go to individuals who are experiencing homelessness, and it allows them to locate a unit. And with that unit, they locate a unit and use that voucher to pay for the rent in that unit. What has happened is that there are issues with tenants finding units. Currently, the policy only gives them a 120 days, and there are no extensions allowed after that 120 days. What Aspire's team has put together, I cannot open the memo, but what they have put together is a request to allow that extension to be granted a maximum of 2 additional extensions per client. So that would be an extension of a total of 180 days total for a voucher to be utilized. That does have to come forth here in order for that to be approved. Jay, I don't know if you want to help with making that motion, but the motion is for the permanent supportive housing vouchers to, instead of having a 120-day limit for them to find housing, it allows them to have 180 days to find housing with those housing choice vouchers. So it gives them an additional 60 days.
So thank you, Sharika. I'll call to see if there's someone who would make a motion and then a
I
second.
can't hear you, Jay.
I will call Can y'all hear me? I'm sorry, I'm having trouble with my microphone, I think. Can y'all hear me now?
You're
No,
really quiet, but really,
Oh,
really
man.
quiet.
Can you hear me better now?
not really.
Oh,
But
man.
the motion would come from one of the members. If you guys want to have a conversation, we are here as staff support, so that would go forth before you all, and that would be the first item on the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we accept that extension possibility to 180 days from 120.
I would second that motion.
I'm putting some notes in the chat.
Thank you, Jay. I was looking for a pencil.
Um,
Okay.
We have a motion on the floor with a second. Is there a vote?
Okay, anybody against? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, so the motion passes for that, the permanent supportive housing vouchers to go from 120 days to 180 days. The next is our notice of funding opportunities, or otherwise known as the NOFA. So you guys will start to hear more about the NOFA as your votes are what allows us to apply. So the NOFA is our $3.2 million that we receive from HUD to provide services to the COC. The NOFA, which is usually released in November, well, we usually start on this process in June. We applied last year and was told that this would be a 2-year NOFA, so we would not need to apply this year. With the new administration, that has changed. A NOFA was released on Friday, and then NOFA needs to be submitted January 14th, which is a lot smaller window than we have ever had before. So a lot of local communities right now, we are meeting twice a day to try to hound through this NOFA, as well as we are still waiting for the application to be released by the new administration. So we don't even know what exactly the application looks like as of now. But in the meantime, with the new NOFA, these are just a few things that have changed that we want to also make you guys aware of. I will also email this to you. I will also be meeting with the agencies on Monday to do a Q&A. We have posted the new notice of funding opportunities on the city's website as well. One of the changes is that only 30% of our CO's funding is protected this year in Tier 1. That is down from 90% in previous years. So in numbers locally, that is $862,529 that we are guaranteed, whereas last year that was $2,587,585. So this, with 70% of the funding now fully competitive, that means that we will be competing with every COC across the nation for the additional allotment of funds. So as of now, we know for sure we will receive the $862,000, which will be tied to Tier 1, and we would have to compete for the additional funds moving forward. Permanent housing is now capped at 30%. So currently we spend $1.4 million of our COC funds on permanent housing. So this includes our housing choice vouchers, our project-based vouchers, our rental assistance program. So anything dealing with permanent housing, including the supportive services. This does not include the supportive services or the case management jobs that are tied to this. But rental assistance alone is $1.4 million. In 2025, we will only be able to apply for $862,000. This will align with the new administration's priorities, particularly around transitional housing, with service requirements that are now going to be initiated as well for the individuals that are in the programs. The new policies will have priorities around treatment, recovery, and required services. So there will be a favor towards on-site substance abuse treatment, required service participation, sufficient treatment bed capacity. So for our city size, we are required to have, I want to say 50 treatment beds, 50 to 100 treatment beds available. And then there needs to be 24/7 detox for inpatient access. So there will be a lot of crosswork with the county over the next few weeks of discussing how this can possibly happen. But required services is now also a large part of the scoring process as well. There's a huge push on public safety as a major scoring factor. So we must show laws prohibiting camping, illicit drug use, enforcement protocols for encampments, cooperation with law enforcement, and use of involuntary commitment standards. So those do need to be in place. And these factors, it needs to show some elevation of the influence of local criminalization policies. And then new prohibitions can disqualify any project. So they may reject projects in tier 1 or tier 2 for engaging in racial preferences. So I'm using a definition of sex other than binary, for example, or conducting activities viewed as harm reduction. So we are not allowed to do any type of harm reduction activities moving forward. Also, housing first has been removed. These provisions create significant new compliance risks, but this is the new NOFA. New project requirements. So we will be reshaping our rapid rehousing, permanent supported housing. Street outreach has been added. New transitional housing must provide 40 hours or weeks of services. The new rapid rehousing must show strong employment outcomes and require services and participation in services. New permanent supportive housing can only serve the elderly or physically disabled. So they took away the substance use disorder as well as mental health. So mental health, we had a meeting yesterday. Mental health is not included. We do still recognize it as a disorder, but it specifically says elderly or physically disabled. And new street outreach must demonstrate strong law enforcement partnerships.
I'm sorry, is these new guidelines basically saying that if we don't figure out a way to criminalize homelessness, we are less eligible for funding, and they've also cut the funding that we're supposed to be guaranteed? Am I simplifying it too much?
It reads that way.
That's how it reads to me.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry for interrupting.
No, you're fine, Miss Wiseman.
I thought my head was going to explode because I was like, so
Oh.
we have to either lock people up or.
It's
okay.
interesting. It has been an interesting week. Trust me. And then our two-tier scoring, it now favors projects with required services. So that means that there will be participation requirements that will elevate our funding in all of our projects. So they do give examples in the full NOFA. So requirements for sobriety, requirements of employment, just different things that you would have to put in place into all of the projects. And then HUD may consider media reports, Inspector General and Government Accountability Office findings, public complaints, or an organization's history of subsidizing activities that conflict with the NOFA as the grounds for denying funding. So that is now part of the scoring is our risk review. So they would look at those type of items when doing the scoring. There are new policy priorities. So ending the crisis of homelessness on our streets. So it directs us to the executive order on ending crime and disorder on American streets. So following that executive order that came out earlier this year, we must prioritize treatment and recovery. So we should prioritize projects that provide treatment and services needed to recover and regain self-sufficiency, including on-site treatment and participation requirements. We must advance public safety, so we should have a strong cooperation with law enforcement to advance public safety. And then they did cite the grants, Pass vs. Johnson, that went through courts earlier this year, which upholds the authority of local government to prohibit public camping. And then the other three, promoting self-sufficiency, so highlighting that one of the primary purpose of the COC program is to optimize self-sufficiency. So it indicates that we should prioritize projects that help lead to long-term economic independence. And it allows them to exit homelessness and prevent future returns to homelessness. Improving outcomes. So we review all eligible projects to determine their effectiveness in reducing homelessness. There is a stronger emphasis on basically performance. So a lot of our scoring will be around performance moving forward, and then minimizing trauma. We will encourage the use of trauma-informed care, ensure safety of program participants, and access to safe single-sex spaces for women. So this kind of gets rid of that equal access rule. We're in the process of going through a lot of our written standards, governance charters and things like that, making sure things such as housing first, equal access. There's a lot of terms that we'll need to make sure are removed. I believe racial equality was another one that we talked about yesterday. Certain terms we would have to make sure aren't a part of documentation, written standards and things like that. So that is the current updates. We are releasing applications on Monday for the local agencies to apply. With them being released Monday is only because the tight turnaround, we have to have the agencies apply. We have to then have our rating panel review those applications, create a scoring matrix for you all to determine what to approve. And then we still have to take those options forth and write the actual application. So that gives us about, with holidays, about 30, 45 days to get all of this done, if that. So part of that notice of funding opportunities requirement is that our governance charter will have to be updated. We currently do have law enforcement as part of our governance committee. Is he here? No, he's not here today, but it does require that we increase the number of individuals from law enforcement. Currently, we have one representative. It does require that we have a minimum of 3. So that is one of the requirements that we do have to look at changing. Another one is we do have 1 city council member, 1 county commissioner. We need to have 3 individuals from voting, basically voting government, local governments. So we will have to add 1 additional person into that governance charter for that. We are working on those updates. I was going to request that you guys vote by email. So this is what that request is, for you guys to vote by email for that.
Can that extra elected official be somebody from the school board, since we have so many
I
children?
like that idea, Ms. Wisely.
Thank you.
Yes. Is everybody okay with that?
I also wonder about Kernersville. I think the school board's a great idea, but Kernersville Town Council. So at Family Services, we work a lot with Winston-Salem Police Department, Kernersville Police Department, and Forsyth County Sheriff's Office. So since our COC is also trying to gauge folks from broader out in the county, can't find someone from the school board. Maybe we could get somebody from Town Council.
Okay.
The mayor of Kernersville has been a good partner for us at Family Services.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. Are you guys okay with voting via email for that governance charter update once it's changed and we email that out to you?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And then I know I promised not to keep you guys long today. So Bethesda Center, this is our last update. Bethesda Center for the Homeless has decided to no longer provide services in the form of case management to those experiencing homelessness. They will only operate a shelter moving forward. So with that change, that did put about, I want to say $500,000 back into the pot for case management services. And there were a few agencies who were willing to take on additional slots for case management. We still have one open, but in the meantime, we were able to get majority of that funding reallocated. So this is just approval to start those contracts under the significant change policy. It does have to come to you all for approval. But with that return of funding, we did agree to pay for Bethesda Center staff up into November, which their last dates would be November 30th. There are a total of 5 case managers that will, their positions will end on November 30th. So we did agree to pay for the salaries up until that point. So from August to November 30th of $30,000. Citywood Dwellings did already have 1 case manager. They are taking on 2 additional, which will put them in at 3 staff. And then we're looking at the supportive services category. And then we have Goodwill, who has 2 staff that will be added to the pot. They had 1 staff member who was working. We weren't paying for that staff member. However, he stepped in and has been doing the work on that behalf. So we will be bringing that staff member as well as the second staff member they are looking to hire to continue providing those services. And then the dwelling will also be added to that permanent supportive housing case management pot. That is just for permanent supportive housing, so that's working with those Section 8 vouchers. Far as the rental assistance, which is just basic rental assistance, Salvation Army is looking to add 1 case manager. And then the Goodwill and Citywood Dwellings will have part-time individuals who would assist with that as well. Part of the pot that we are looking to do, where it says City of Winston-Salem Social Services Only. So there is space for 1 more case manager, but we are still determining if there is another agency. There was ESR. They first was interested. We are still gearing out if they're going to do it. It looks like that has turned into a no as of yesterday. So the money was just placed back into the pot. But $30,000 of this, we are looking to do supportive services only. So that means we would have a pot of money specifically for if individuals, let's say, they are going to a substance abuse treatment center and they need the fees in order to enroll. That would be something that they can pay for. If we want to pay for some life skill classes, we could pay for it out of this pot. If someone's found a job and they need some assistance with employment things, then that's something that we will be able to pay for out of this pot. So we are looking to keep about 35K in this pot for that. Those requests will come to the city, and then we would make that payment to whomever. With the drop in the ESR case manager, another option that we're looking at with that additional money is life skill classes every 2 weeks. So finding a location to host life skill classes for the clients to be able to drop in and receive life skill services. So that will also be paid out of that pot. So I did just a little synopsis here for you guys to kind of, so it can be easier for you guys to approve, but it puts 3 staff at Citywood Dwellings through the Permanent Supportive Housing and Rapid Rehousing Program. It puts 2 case managers at Goodwill who will be both for support through that Permanent Supportive Housing and Rapid Rehousing Program. It adds 1 case manager at the dwelling, 1 case manager at Salvation Army, and then we do still have that 1 case manager or life skills option that was listed under the city, while also paying out that last $30,000 to Bethesda. So it pushes us to 7 to 8 case managers, where we were originally at 5. So we were able to increase the number of case managers rather than decreasing through this change. But If you guys have any questions, I can answer those. If not, if you guys want to put forth a vote. But
How much does a case manager make? Like, are they making a livable wage?
so each organization pays the case managers differently. So some of them have benefits, some of them do not. But there is a different rate for each organization. We are paying at a rate of around 55 to 60K per case manager.
And the city is wonderfully gracious. I think that's very high to most of us organizations that have case managers.
You think it's what?
High.
We can't hear you, Jay.
I could hear it just cut out for a second. She said she
I'm
thinks
sorry.
it's high for based off of what other case managers make. The city's generous in comparison.
Yes.
Is there any thought of taking the case managers that are at Bethesda and filling them in these spots, or are all of these people going to be new hires?
So that would be up to the actual agency themselves. I know some of them have the requests that they take on case managers that were at Bethesda, but that is up to the agency who is taking on the funds. We wouldn't be able to require them to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hey, good morning, Sharika. This is Jose. I don't know if you're able to answer this question or not. Was there any potential perceived or real conflicts of interest between the case management of citywide dwellings and the dwellings being that centrally located within the same building? And is there any potential for any crossover? My main thing is that with the organizations, they provide the necessary equitable and specific needs of our homeless population in the city.
So we all work together currently. So since it's a collaborative, they will all work very closely together already. So there wouldn't be a conflict of interest because all of these, like currently the city has a rapid rehousing case manager already. Our rapid rehousing case manager takes clients from all of these agencies, and you will see them often at the Dwelling and Goodwill and these locations because these case managers work as a group. They don't work for their organizations. They technically work as a group, receiving people from off the by name list and from the shelters and different locations. So they don't get to pick their clients. Their clients are assigned by Laura Lama, who is a HMIS administrator at the city, and then Jesse Burkhardt, who is temporarily doing the CES work until the city has someone in. So your cases are assigned. They aren't, you don't get to pick and choose, or your agency don't get to pick and choose who you receive.
If you all.
However, everybody that is experiencing homelessness is eligible. So for instance, if someone is staying at Salvation Army and they find a place, then they're easily able to refer them to a case manager that, that is, usually it's the city case manager, because we try to keep the city case manager with a small load so that they can easily just take people. Or if they have a case manager in-house and the person is eligible, we're able to assist.
Can you all hear me
A little bit.
at all? I would also share that as staff get termination notices, when other agencies are adding staff, we certainly like Family Services has reached out to others and encouraged their case managers to apply with us. For example, there was a local agency that closed recently, and we were able to hire one of their case managers. So we do try to communicate with each other, because someone who's already trained and has shown good customer service with this population certainly is a benefit and an attractive hire at another agency. So we do try to communicate as we have openings. And for example, I prefer to hire people who already have experience with our community, already know the resources, but it's certainly never a guarantee, but we do try to coordinate to hire trained, skilled folks.
I think that's admirable. Jose, I don't know if this is what you're getting at, but one of my concerns about the way this is set up is, um, especially with the dwelling, Emily likes to hire people straight from community, and she doesn't necessarily vet that they've been out of their lived experience of homelessness for enough time to be objective in how they work alongside of people who are still living the experience. And
So you guys do have the option to change it. There was some internal concerns of what you said, just said, Ms. Wisely. So you guys do have the option to say, hey, can you see if there is someone else at the table that may consider this? The other option that we do have, Catholic Charities showed an interest. They have not done the work recently, but they did show an interest. We can always put out another request to agencies. We can always start with the 5, 6 here, which is still at the same rate of where we've been, and then have an option to add 2 additional once we find someone that is considered sufficient. You guys feel have the ability to do so.
I'll
Which
just say, if we're voting individually on each organization, that I think it would be unethical for me to vote when it concerns the dwelling, because right now I'm currently an employee through the shelter,
okay.
and also I am a member of the church. So
Okay, so you would recuse yourself. Jose, do you want to take a motion to move this one out and we come back to you guys with an additional person to consider and move everything else forward?
Oh, sorry. First of all, I want to say thank you, Miss Renee, because that's exactly what I was getting at. So I want to make a motion for that we can table this and move this to another date and see if
Okay.
there's anybody else that maybe potentially qualify or be willing to take on the role of case management.
Okay, so are we only removing the dwelling or are you putting a hold on everything?
Definitely want to put a hold on the dwelling.
Okay, so are we okay with moving forward with the other ones? What is everybody else's thoughts?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Just for my point of reference. Working in behavioral health, case manager can mean a number of things. Are these case managers, what are their credentials? Are they like master's level people, or are they peer support specialists?
So each agency is different. With case management, it is federal money. So that is one of the things that we always want to emphasize, is there is a lot of paperwork because it is federal money. I can say with city, I know Goodwill is usually bachelor's. You have to have a bachelor's degree. I know that one for sure. Salvation Army is the same. There is college level education. City with dwellings, I can't remember, honestly, off the top of my head. I know a lot of them have maybe peer support, but they have a lot of experience. If I'm thinking of one in particular, I think it's been about 11 or 12 years they've been in the field. So, you know.
I would share, I know family services is not on this list because we do not do permanent supportive housing, only rapid rehousing. But we have recently shifted from bachelor's required to bachelor's or associates plus multiple years of experience because we have a very hard time filling these positions. But it's not master's level, no.
No. And then I can
So-
say that all of these programs over here, they have participated in this program for multiple years. So the dwelling would be your newbie. They've never done permanent supportive housing, rapid rehousing, or any programs within the COC. These programs have been in existence before. They may have just started, they may have just not renewed, but they have been done before.
And do we have any data on outcomes?
For each program?
Just in general, do we have any information about the benefit that the case managers have been able to, the success rate with being able to assist the population?
Are you asking for each agency, or are you asking for a general?
Just a general.
For the programs? So generally, there has been 1,359 households served in 2024. Average days of homelessness is 97. Rates of exit to permanent housing is at 16%. This is for the overall program, though.
Okay.
And I would add that it does vary by population type. So for example, with domestic violence, the ones who come from our emergency shelter, our DV shelter into rapid rehousing, our exit to permanent is much higher, like 75%, but that's because landlords are much more willing to take somebody who is only fleeing violence, and they might not be in recovery. They might not have many, many years of challenges that a lot of other street homeless folk would have, just as an example.
Does this include this count that you just showed us? Does that include families? Because Salvation Army really is the only, I mean, I guess the city probably works with families, but the other agencies really just work with housing individuals. So how do we know the success rate of families getting housed?
So that is possible, but I wouldn't be able to just pull that up right here. That's something I would have to run through HMIS. So that's not something I could just pull up right here. I would have to actually run it through the data system. Goodwill actually works with families, and Bethesda was working with families.
And Family Services also works with families, only domestic violence related.
And I would be curious to know kind of the success of those individuals or families that are working with case managers versus those that are not.
If you're in the program, you would work with the case manager.
Okay, so it's required.
It's encouraged. Yes. Okay. We can't say, well, we can now, I guess, but yes.
With the new NOFO,
we'll be able to say it.
Yeah, and all those rules would, when we are funded, all those rules would start October 2026.
Yes. Oh. And so what these programs do is, if you see, for instance, these programs, when they are the ones that assist people who get those Section 8 vouchers. So if you were to receive a Section 8 voucher, you need probably assistance with finding a place. So these case managers are the ones that's going to assist you with finding your place. They're going to assist you with accessing the resources to get furniture. They're going to assist you with your deposit. They're going to do the paperwork for you to receive the deposit and receive your voucher. So they're the ones that's doing the legwork behind the person that's receiving the services. So that's what these positions do.
And also, for example, connecting you to credit repair resources, connecting you to any local grants or faith communities we can find, because maybe, like in our situation at Family Services, maybe the abuser ran up $2,000 on your bill, and now no landlord will take you because you have outstanding evictions. Or like there's a ton of work that case managers are doing to try to help individuals get to the point that a landlord will accept them, even if they have a voucher.
Jay, does someone have to stay at the domestic violence shelter in order to get services from Family Services?
No. However, our caseloads are often full because we have folks at our shelter. We do occasionally take folk from Bethesda, or we would occasionally take someone from another setting. Our folk who come into the Family Services pot is for interpersonal violence survivors. So if you have a family who's homeless, not related to violence, in their household, then they would probably not come to us, even if they didn't stay in our shelter. Our bucket of funds is a designated bucket of funds. And we're serving domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking clients. And their children, if they have children.
And are we proposing to hold off on voting on the dwelling to look at the requirements for that role, or what is the purpose of waiting on the dwelling?
So from my understanding, other members on the panel do not feel as if the dwelling has the sufficient capacity to operate a case management position. So they were asking that we look at other options for that bucket of money.
Gotcha.
So we would put out another request for agencies who are interested and bring back who may respond for those additional funds.
One last question. Who do the case managers, you said they work together as a team, but they work for that organization, but technically they work together. Who do they answer to?
Their agency. So the COC is a collaboration of multiple agencies who work on the by name list, which is a list of individuals experiencing homelessness, to get them all housed. So we take individuals off that list and attempt to work to house them or assist them with gaining self-sufficiency. So they don't get to pick and choose. It's a collaborative that they work through. So it's just a group of agencies that work together. So when it comes to, like, we all follow the same written standards, we all follow the same process for checks, we all, which is what United Way is the people that cut the checks. Lori here with Anchor is one of the projects where we have to provide case management to the individuals, that are living there. So depending on, this is just the case management piece. The housing piece is through other locations. This is just the case management piece. So that's what makes it one collaboration, because there's different people doing different pieces of the system.
And for example, the case managers generate lists every month to go to the United Way so that checks can be cut to the landlords. So it's integrated, but everybody has their piece.
Hey, Sharika,
Yes.
Since you mentioned it, can I abstain from, or should I abstain from the vote? Because I would really like to roll in our case management at Fifth Street. And so I would actually like part of this money to be ours. So is it easier for me to abstain, or can I vote? Because I'm fine with how it exists right now, knowing that there's still actually some open money out there available. To whatever it feels most comfortable to you all.
Yes, you will abstain since you're
Okay.
you're up here.
Because I'm
Yeah.
funded there anyway. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Even though we don't have a case manager right now, you will abstain.
Yeah, and I know we played phone tag this week, so yeah.
Yes, it's fine. I'll grab you afterwards.
Okay.
The way that it exists here, without,
Mhm.
if we remove the dwell, like now that we've removed the dwelling, I don't necessarily see an issue with that.
Okay.
So I suggest we do go ahead and have a motion for all these case managers removing the dwelling, if anyone wants to make that motion, or is that motion still standing on the floor and we just need a second? So that the others can move forward?
I don't think we've had a motion. I make a motion that we vote on approving the case managers with removing the dwelling temporarily.
And are you guys okay with me coming back with options on December 18th? So it would just be this one thing and then the approval for the NOFA applications. Those will be the last two things for you guys to vote on.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Sharika.
All right, so I will come back to you guys December 18th with
Sharika, wait a minute. I think, do we need did we want to go ahead and vote on the remaining case manager pieces now? Because
I think that was Mindy's motion. She said to remove the dwelling. We come back December 18th with other options and approve these. Is that right, Mindy?
Yes, so we need a second and a
Okay.
discussion and a vote.
Yes.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Okay, vote those in favor.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you. That motion carries.
Okay. So I'll be back December 18th with the NOFA applications. So we will know who applied for the funding for next year. I will have that information ready for you guys. One quick thing, this NOFA will have transitional housing, which will be eligible. So we may have a few new projects because transitional housing is being brought back into eligible programs for HUD. But I'll have that as well as the information about what can be done with the last two options for case management.
Thank you all very much.
Jay, you would have to, Alan's not here, so you would be the one to close.
All right, we need a motion to close out do we need a motion to close the meeting, or I just closed? We need a motion, please, to close the meeting.
Yes, please. Sir.
The second motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you all so much. Hope you have a wonderful holiday, and appreciate, Sharika, all of your amazing work with these massive changes and challenges. We appreciate you and your team every day. And thank you to everyone who is working to stand with our neighbors and serve our neighbors every day. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. See y'all tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.